Now it works. I was having a little trouble getting this started. Hey, it's me. I want to talk a little bit about some ways to make small business possibly work a little bit better for you during these times. And like I said before, when we do a Facebook Live type of thing that gets sent over to YouTube, it's like there's this free extra time for YouTube. Well, one useful thing that we could be doing if you have a YouTube channel is you can start to show people a little bit about who you are, a little bit about what makes you you. And I think that's going to help in this world because we're starting to pay attention to the people that we are interested in because of these kinds of things. We're starting to see the person behind the keyboard sometimes. I mean, I'm a book author to a lot of people and they don't know that I make videos because they're not as connected to me as you are, maybe. And so in the process, it's kind of this great opportunity for people to discover who you are and what your voice is. So, but I want to talk just a little bit about the ways that we need to start thinking about making our money. So one detail, for instance, is I want you to think about the fact that we need to have many more ways to accept and process and receive money. So if you're the kind of person who's been only dealing with one kind of way to get money, like invoices through companies and that sort of a thing, you might really look into other services like PayPal and Venmo and Cash App, especially as people are going to have less money to spend, in a discretionary sense for a while. You're going to want to be able to tap into ways that you can receive and or process and or send money in the interim. The other thing that relates to this, and boy, what a boring topic in some ways, but it's going to be necessary, is we're going to all have to reconsider some of our terms for our money, right? Because sometimes people aren't going to be able to pay everything up front, and we're going to have to decide where something will be acceptable to be a little less money, or acceptable to be broken out over payments, or even to understand some barter opportunities or some pay and trade. I mean, if the world just goes back to normal in a month, no one believes that besides one weird person. If the world goes back to normal, then maybe we don't have to actually think about this. But because it probably won't, we have to start sort of setting up and arranging our business now so that we could be a little bit more, receptive of that. I gave this example the other day, but you might not have been here because sometimes, you're busy doing things. One of the examples I gave the other day was to say you can quickly add to your website a new page. Hi, Scott. You can quickly add a website to your page that allows you to be a lot more specific and explicit about some of the services you're offering. And it doesn't necessarily have to show up in your general navigation, but you can at least have something there, like a little small menu that lets people know that these are ways that they can interact with you and that these are things they can choose, in this time, so that people can understand. Don't forget that one of the things we do a lot, especially in kind of online business and or in professional services, is we hide our rates because we feel some kind of weird feeling like, we don't want to scare people away. Sometimes we don't want others to see what our rates are and compete because of that. There's a lot of reasons why we do it. But as money is dwindling for a lot of people, and especially if you count on business to consumer purchases, like if you're selling information products and things like that, for instance, people might not realize, the options that are available to them. People might not understand that, you can work with them on different prices and whatnot. And so it's important to be really explicit. It's important to have some offerings up. If you feel comfortable, you can actually put some dollars, onto the page. I mean, people won't panic or freak out about it. So we just really need to, that's the storyline for this particular video, is that we really need to think through how can we make it easier for people to buy? How can we make it easier for people to afford? And how can we make it easier for people to kind of get through this time in a way where we can be of service to them and still be able to deliver some value? It's never, ever, and people have been asking me this question a lot, and I addressed it really early on in this whole thing. It is never, ever wrong of you to offer your services. It is never wrong of you to charge for your services during times like these. It's never. What the story is that ostensibly you offer something that people need and want to pay for so that they can move forward. I have a proposal I have to finish writing and send in, because this woman said, I'm so busy right now, I'm losing my mind. Can you please write me a proposal for what it would cost to do this little part of my business for me? And I was like, yeah. And, that's money, and I'm going to charge the money. I'm going to take it. I had another friend reach out and say, hey, I need some professional guest posts written on my blog. And I mean, who better than a world famous New York Times bestselling author? And I've got this budget set aside. You want to do it? And I'm like, yeah, right. It's not bad, cruel, wrong, or anything to accept money in a time of crisis. What it is bad or wrong to do is to make it hard for people to pay and make it tricky for people to understand what to do and how to interact with you and all that. So we need to reduce friction. Speaking of which, Roger Dooley published an incredible book called Friction right before all this shenanigans started, and it probably isn't getting nearly as much attention as it deserves. It's definitely worth your time to check it out. And I have it on good authority that you have a little bit of extra time right now, so maybe you should check out Friction. That's all I've got for you today. I wanted to keep it brief. I will probably come and make another video a little later on. But just remember that we all have the opportunity to do this. We can share our voice. We can share some good ideas. We can give somebody something to think about. And we can keep checking in with people. So that's part of why I made this. This is a little series I made called Point of Contact. I don't usually use the name all that much because it didn't matter. I just wanted to make sure that instead of isolation, the opposite of isolation is contact. We could do it virtually for a while. Anytime you ever want to reach me, you probably know where to find me on one social channel or another, or just send an email, chris@chrisbrogan.com.